All right, hello everyone. We're gonna discuss something today. There was a mind shift that I had. I've been kind of contemplating on this week, and I should have already known this, and I should have already thought about this, but for whatever reason, it hit me a certain way, and hopefully I can create a graphic or something to add to this video. But I had this mind shift this week that I hadn't thought about, and that is, we tend to often, us as Christian professionals, or even just Christians in general, but my target audience is Christian professionals and entrepreneurs. We tend to think like this, that there's in levels of importance. We tend to think of, okay, there's God, and then spouse, and then kids, and then purpose or career or job, business, whatever it is that you do. Some of you, it might be ministry too. You might have ministry in there, and then career and job, whatever. But we tend to think of it in levels. But there's a verse. Matter of fact, let me pull it up. I'm thinking about it. Paul says in Colossians 3:23 through 24, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as working for the Lord, not for human masters, since you know that you will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward. It is the Lord Christ you are serving. So that doesn't give us levels. That doesn't give us, okay, there's okay, there's God, and then there's my spouse, and then there's my kids, and then there's my ministry, or then there's my career or my purpose, whatever the case may be. And then a lot of times we forget to even add ourselves in there. Hey, I'm adding my mental health, my physical health in there as well as one of those levels. But we have to stop thinking of it as levels. We have to start thinking of it as God. And it's a subtle change, but and we try to compartmentalize. Okay, now I'm going to focus on God. Okay, now I'm going to focus on the spouse. Okay, now I'm going to focus on the kids. Okay, now I'm going to focus on my career development. Or okay, now I'm going to focus on ministry. And you kind of think of it like that, and then and we segment our time based upon what we think is most important. And so what Paul is telling us is something radically different, or maybe slightly different. And I read the NIV version, so forgive me for that. But he says, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as working for the Lord. So imagine then, and hopefully I can create a graphic and put that up. But imagine if we took all of those subtopics, our family, our spouse, our ministry, our career, your business, your self-care, mental health, all of that stuff. Take all of those and then put it into a cloud, and that cloud is God, or put it into the God category. So it's not like you compartmentalize. Okay, now I'm going to focus on God and pray for 30 minutes. And okay, now I'm going to focus on my wife, and then and take her on a date or whatever. It's not that. It's more so, when I am taking her on a date, I'm focusing on God. Are you seeing the subtle difference there? When I go to work and I do a good day's work, and I work with integrity, and I work with trying to do the right things, and giving my if my employer is giving me a fair wage, I'm giving my employer a fair day of work. or I work with integrity, or I have a business that I have started, and so I work at it diligently and with integrity and with wisdom and with all of with hard work. All of that stuff, I spend time with my kids, whatever. All of those things are within the cloud, or within the bots of God. So when you're working your business, you're not taking time away from God. Yes, you're supposed to take time to pray. Yes, you're supposed to take time to wake up in the morning and meditate, do the Jesus prayer, as I always tell y'all all the time to do. All of that stuff is good, and all that stuff we're supposed to be doing that and making sure we take time to do that. But we tend to compartmentalize everything else as not being time with God or devotion to God. But that's not what Paul is telling us. Paul is saying everything that we do it as unto the Lord. So when I am working my business, I am doing it as unto the Lord. When I spend time with my kids, I am doing it as unto. It's like I'm worshiping God in that moment. When I'm walking in my purpose, when I'm walking in my destiny, and a lot of you probably are already doing this, and so forgive me, but it just kind of dawned on me in that sense. So like even recently, I put on our calendar, time to spend with family and time to spend with spouse. Doesn't always happen, but it's something I was just kind of trying to do. And so doing that does not detract from time spent in prayer, or time spent in studying scripture, that type of thing. It's not that. That time with family is time devoted to God. That time working on my business and attracting new clients and attracting customers and all of that stuff is working, is doing it as unto God. It's work. It's God work. The time when you took your spouse on a vacation, that's God work, right? And so we have to make sure that we don't compartmentalize our lives in levels of importance. They're all important. And so God is not so what is the word? Narcissistic I don't know if that's the word, or God is not so self-important, maybe that's the word, that he gets mad if we don't spend the bulk of our time studying scripture and praying, and we're hollering and screaming in prayer every 24 hours a day. That's not the God that we serve. The one that we serve. Now that doesn't mean that there aren't people that God may call to certain levels of devotion or certain levels of ministry, where like that's their thing and that's what God has but for most of us, God has us in a job. God has us in a workplace. For most of us, God has us starting a business. Most of us, God has us having a family and a spouse, and that's all in Him. And so we are to do those things as unto Him. So God is not just God on, we're not compartmentalizing this. God is not just God on Sunday in Bible study. He's God when I treat my wife right. He's God. I'm serving God when I hug my child. I'm serving God when I learn when I get a new certification for my career path, whatever. That's serving God. It's not just running and shouting and screaming on Sunday, but serving God is all of that. Somebody say all of that. So and for many of you, this might just be a reminder. Let's make sure that we stop compartmentalizing and see everything as being as unto the Lord. How I drive in traffic, I'm gonna just use that because I just drove in traffic just now. I'm about to go to work. How I drive in traffic can be as unto the Lord. Like, I'm not gonna get mad. Okay, I forgive that person that cut me off. I forgive that person that wouldn't let me merge, that type of thing. Everything we do is as unto the Lord. And he tells us why. He says that there is since you know that you will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward. There is a reward for doing everything as unto him. He didn't ask us to be in Bible study all day. He didn't ask us to be in service all day. Yes, there are people that is what God has asked them to do. Most of us, he did not ask us to do that. Most of us, he asked us to serve him with our lives, not just serve him with our mouth and with our lips and with our time, but serve him with our whole life. There was a quote I read the other day. Matter of fact, let me see if I can pull that up. I know I kind of just came here, and I'm sitting in the parking lot and I'm just talking, so we're just kind of shooting the breeze. Oh, it's on my phone. I'm using for a camera, so I can't pull it up. But it talks about how prayer. There's one level of prayer that you are. You're praying with like your words, and you have your specific time of prayer, your specific hour of prayer. You do the Jesus prayer. You're praying the hours, praying the office rather, whatever the case may be, right? You have morning prayer, afternoon prayer, evening prayer, midnight prayer, that type of thing. So you have prayer. But then they talked about, this saint talked about how your whole life can be a prayer. So your whole life can be when you're cooking dinner, when you're watching TV with your spouse, when you are working on your business, when you are, whatever it is God has you doing. You hug your child, or those types of things. All of that stuff is a prayer, in a sense, is what that saint was kind of saying. So just to summarize what that saint was saying. So we want to make sure that we do everything as unto the Lord. Now, this is the hard part. The hard part is this, that we've been told that we have to be balanced. So I'm going to spend 50% of the time with God and scriptures and praying and all that stuff, and then I'm going to spend 40% with my wife, and then 10% with the kids, that type of stuff. That's not always realistic, and that's not always the case. This is the hard part about it, because there are times where you need to go heads down deep into your, perhaps you have a certification. You might have to go deep into your certification study, for weeks, and say, nope, I can't attend family event. Nope, we can't have spouse night out. Nope, I can't go do this with the kids and that with the kids, because I got it heads down on this God-given career that I have, that I need to study for my certification. Or nope, I have to go to the gym. I have to do some self-care as a devotion unto God. Nope, I can't go to that revival meeting tonight, because tonight is our spouse night out, our date night or whatever, right? So we have kind of an ebb and flow to this, where sometimes, you might have to spend more time with the spouse than the kids, or sometimes, you might have to spend more time working on your business and trying to find new clients and trying to, right? Then you might miss a date night here and there. And so we kind of have, it's not really a balance, more so than it's just a, figuring it out as you go along and working on it as you go along. And I hope you can hear me, because there's always planes taking off all the time. So this is kind of a mind shift. I kind of knew this, but it was just kind of a refocusing. Maybe that's a better word for that. So I hope that's something that might help you If make sure that you and your spouse, God already understands we got stuff to do. We got to work. We got to eat. We got to spend time with spouse. We got to spend time with our kids. God knows we need time to spend on our business, all those types of things. So I'm not saying don't go to Bible study. I'm not saying don't go to Sunday service. Don't go to I'm not saying that. Make sure you spend time doing that. It's very, very vital and very, very important for your spirituality. But what I am saying, God understands when you have legitimate things that he gave you to do, that you need time to go and do that. So even our church, sometimes if we go on vacation, I have no problems canceling a service. People not gonna die. And if the church dies because I took a vacation once or twice a year, then that's a problem. That should not be the case. So hopefully that can be a refresher or a reminder or a mind shift, a refocusing, re-emphasizing for you like it was for me. All right, so that's it. I'll see you in the next video.